Hey everyone! Today's video is going to be a part 2 of a video I've made in the past. This is going to be an honest take on resins that I've used, and I'm going to cover things like how I feel about them, the pros and the cons of the formulas, as well as how much they yellow over months of sun exposure. I've done video reviews of most of these products, and in those vids I usually cast one resin piece that goes outside in the sun so I can see how it yellows over time. I'll be including photos of those pieces, which I think will also be a good update for anyone who watches my demo and review videos. The products I'm reviewing today are Amazing Clear Cast, Art and Glow, Puduo, Better Boat, and Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy. So before I start, I do want to put out a disclaimer. If you use and love any of the products that I negatively review, by all means keep using them. I'm just some chick on the internet when all is said and done, and my opinion isn't worth getting bent out of shape about. Do what makes you happy. So on that note, let's go ahead and jump right into Amazing Clearcast. If any of you saw the part 1 to this video, you'll know that I've already reviewed Amazing Clearcast. I've used it for years. And the reason that I'm reviewing it again is because they changed their formula. Even the bottle looks different, the product looks a little bit different. You know what it really reminds me of is ice resin a lot, which I used for years and I quit using. That's in part 1 if you're curious about that. But yeah, it's a different formula, and I don't really know if I care for it as much anymore, and I'll jump into the pros and cons right now to get you up to speed with why I don't really like it as much anymore. I mean, there are some things about it that are okay, but yeah, so let's move on to the pros and cons. I think the biggest pro is that it's inexpensive. It's about $18 US for a 16-ounce kit. That's not bad at all. It's FDA compliant. It can come in contact with food. If you made like a candy dish or a cheese board or something, the cured resin can come in contact with food. A good thing about these is the bottle shape. I can use squeeze bottle tops. I'll order bottle tops and just put them on bottles that they'll fit on. It makes it so much easier to measure, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. But these squeeze bottle tops also work for Puduo, and I don't know if they work for Art and Glow. I don't have any, so I can't check right now. But they're super handy. They make resin measuring so much easier, and here's a picture of what I'm talking about. And I'll make sure to leave the link for these in the description box below. Another one of the pros is that it's easy to find and it's in most craft stores. So it's easily accessible, which is nice. So some of the cons: there's lots of bubbles and it doesn't degas well. And by degas, I mean the bubbles don't rise to the surface on their own and pop very well. The formula before actually was really good about that. Even though it was a thicker product, the bubbles weren't as bad as you would expect. This time around, there's so many more micro bubbles in it. It's a lot thicker. Yeah. The smell is another con. Under normal circumstances, I don't even comment on resin smells. It's, going to have a little bit of a chemically smell. That's part of it. Sometimes they're not so bad. But this is so bad that it's worth noting. It is, moving on. The old formula yellowed a lot, but I'm not sure about this new formula. I've had a piece I cast out in the sun for about 3 months now, and here's what it looks like. It's holding up really well. I think they might have added a UV inhibitor to this product, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and leave this out for a few more months and see how all that plays out, and I will report back with my findings in a future video. The next one up is Art and Glow. I got this on Amazon. It's pretty highly reviewed, so I figured I'd give it a shot and see how I feel about it. It's okay. We'll just hop right into the pros and cons. One of the pros is that it's a decent price. It's not great, but it's decent. It's $25 US for a 16-ounce kit. And the reason I say that it's only decently priced is because I use a much higher quality resin, and this ounce for ounce costs more than the significantly higher quality stuff. It has good yellow resistance. For the first couple of months out in the sun, it didn't yellow at all. Now it's starting to. I'll show the pictures in a little bit. So one of the pros is also one of the cons, and let me explain. So very thick. Sometimes you just want a thick resin. You want to mix glitter in with it. There's various reasons that you would want a thick resin. And because of that, this is good for that when you want a thicker product. You can use thinner stuff and just wait until it thickens up, but sometimes you don't want to wait to do that. You may be in a bit of a rush. There are definitely reasons. Okay, so the con, it's very thick. That means that a lot of bubbles are going to get caught in it. There are a lot of micro bubbles in this product, and I would not use it for pieces that I want to remain clear. If I was going to pigment a piece or use glitter or whatever, I have no issue using this stuff because the bubbles get covered up by the pigment or the glitter or whatever. The only way I would use this in a clear piece, something I want to stay crystal clear, is if I had a vacuum chamber. I would not use it for that application otherwise. So the other con on that note, tons of micro bubbles. You need a vacuum chamber for it to be crystal clear. If that's not something you're concerned about, fantastic. If it's something that you are concerned about, then yeah, use a vacuum chamber with this product. This is what the product looks like after 5 months in the sun. In all fairness, the first 2 or 3 months, there wasn't yellowing at all. It's just starting right now. Here it is next to a piece that has been inside the entire time. The piece on the right has been outside in the sun. The piece on the left has been indoors. Here they are from the side, and you can see that the yellowing is really at the top of the piece where the sun is hitting the most. So that's what's going on there. These are actually from my Art and Glow demo and review. In that video, I took 2 little jewelry bezels. I took plain white paper, sealed them into the bezels, and then poured the resin in and kept one piece inside, which is the piece on the left, and then put one piece out in the sun, which is the piece on the right. And the piece on the right hasn't been outside as long as that resin disc I just showed you had been. It was out there for probably about 2 months in direct sunlight the entire time. So that's the difference on a plain white background. And white is pretty unforgiving, so you can really see the difference in a smaller jewelry piece. The next product up is Puduo. The people at Puduo actually reached out to me to have me try out their product, and I just didn't like it. It's not something I would have bought on my own, I don't think. I just didn't like it. It was a weird experience, and I'll break that down. Let's go to the pros and cons, and I'll get into it. So one of the pros is that it's inexpensive. It's about $20 for a 16-ounce kit. That's not bad. It cures fast, which is nice, but not as fast as they claim. They say it's an 8-hour cure. It's not. That's not true. So the cons, it yellows more than any resin I've ever used. I am not exaggerating or being dramatic. It yellows faster than any resin I've ever used. Once again, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. You'll see the photo in a little bit. There's lots of bubbles due to thickness. It's as thick as Art and Glow. I actually thought it was a knockoff of Art and Glow. And on that note, false advertising. I thought it was a knockoff of Art and Glow, and there's a few reasons why I would think that. I had tried Art and Glow right before it, and you know the literature that comes with the resin kits? It is word for word the same. Puduo's and Art and Glow's instructions are exactly the same. And I thought, wow, that's weird. But then even upon looking at the bottles, they say the exact same thing in the exact order. Like one of these is knocking off the other one. So that was strange. The reason that I decided that no, there's no way that Puduo is an exact dupe of Art and Glow is because of the yellowing. I mean, look at this. And it started instantly. I put it out in the sun and it started instantly. There is no way there is a UV inhibitor in this product. And this goes right back to that false advertising. It says right on the front of the bottle, that part where they're copying Art and Glow or whatever, it says that there's UV inhibitors or there's yellow resistance and all that. There's no way. There's no way this product has a UV inhibitor. So if you're going to use it, just understand that this is what your product could end up looking like in not a lot of time. Okay, so the next one up is Better Boat epoxy resin. This is another one in which the company reached out to me to ask if I would like to do a review, and I said yes. And I will say that the company, like, they were very cool people. It was enjoyable interacting with them, so that's always a good thing. One of the pros of this product is that it's a decent price. It's about $24 US on Amazon, and you can also get it from the Better Boat site. Another pro is that it cures fast. This is one of the fastest curing resins I have ever seen. And based on that, I like using it for some applications. Like if I'm making something that requires a lot of layers, the stuff cures so fast that it cuts that time down. Because usually when you work in layers, you have to pour one, let it become like thick and substantial enough to hold another layer on it, and so on and so forth. And you can shave a lot of time off of building layers like that with this product in like 2 or 3 hours. It's substantial enough to pour another thick layer onto. All right, so the cons. It's too thick. This is one of the thickest resins I have ever worked with. It's so thick that it's difficult to pour out of the bottle properly. I have issue measuring it because it's hard to stop the flow of the resin when it's time to stop, measuring and all that. It's just really, really hard to measure. That's the other con, is it's hard to measure because it's so thick. It also has this odd wide mouth bottle. I just feel like they could stand to work on their packaging and make some changes. So those are my issues with Better Boat. This is what Better Boat looks like after about 2.5 months in the sun. It's doing okay, but I feel like it's already more yellow than the Art and Glow, which has been out there for a few months more. So would I say this has a UV inhibitor? Absolutely. Would I say it's the best? Probably not. All right, so the last one up is Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy. This one is admittedly very new to me. I've only been working with it for a little over a month. So I do have pieces that have been out in the sun, but yeah, it's only been a month, so it's still kind of early to tell how it's going to perform over a course of a few months. Regardless, here's the pros and cons. So the first pro is that it's very durable. It's made for countertops, and those tend to have a very hard life. There's a lot of wear and tear. So the formula is made specifically for that. There's also, they make floor epoxy as well. So it's a hardcore product. Another very big pro is that there's very few micro bubbles in it. I was very pleasantly surprised by this because this is a thicker formula and I expected to mix it all up. I made a tray with it. I made a video about all that if you want to check it out. But I was expecting there to be a ton of micro bubbles and there really was not. Stone Coat blew my mind. I cannot believe a resin that thick had that few bubbles. Another pro so far is that there's good yellow resistance, but as previously mentioned, it's only been outside in the sun for about a month, so I'm going to have to wait a little bit more and see how that goes. But it does have a UV inhibitor. So far, so good. I will let everybody know how that plays out in like 2 or 3 more months. As far as the cons go, it's a very slow cure. I have not seen resin cure this slowly. My usual go-to resin does take a day or two more than other epoxies to fully harden up, but this can take like up to 7 days for a hard cure, but on a countertop it says that it can take up to 30 for it to fully cure to the point that it's as durable and rugged as you want it to be. So yeah, this one is a slow mover. If you have time and you're not in a rush to make something, by all means use this stuff. But yeah, you can expect it to take, we'll say, at least 5 days for your project to fully cure when using Stone Coat. If you're working in a warmer room or a hot house or whatever, it may take less than that, but I think 5 is just a good average. The other con is that you have to buy a lot at a time, or this was a lot for me anyways. The smallest kit that you can get in the countertop epoxy specifically, because there's different formulas, I went with the countertop. The smallest kit you can get is 64 ounces. That's half a gallon. So you have to get a lot at one time if you want to get the countertop specific stuff. Here's what the piece looks like after 1 month in the sun, but like I said, I just don't feel like it's enough time to fully gauge the yellowing, so I'll make a video later with a little update about what's going on here. Cool. So we made it to the end of the video. I broke down all these products, talked about the pros and cons, covered the yellowing. I hope this helped you. I hope you learned a lot. And if you're thinking about working with any of these resins, I hope it clarified things a little bit for you. And like I said before, if you're using any of these products that I didn't care for, by all means, just keep on doing it. Just keep doing what works for you. I'm a big fan of doing what works for you. So I guess that's it. I would like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.